Tim, welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. Today we're discussing the Panerai Luminor 1950 3 Days Titanio DLC. You can see this PAM 629 and purchase it on our website. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoy these videos, and please click on the card in the upper right hand corner of the screen at any time during this video to see our full listing for this watch with additional accessories included, high resolution images, and naturally complete pricing details. Now this watch, a special series limited edition from 2015, one of 300 pieces, is an interesting combination of styling motifs that trace the entire arc of Panerai history from really 1936 to the present. So let's recap first the size, the fit, and the feel, and then the features of the watch that set it apart. On my wrist, 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference, you can see that this is indeed the 47mm Panerai Luminor 1950 case. 1950 is no longer your cue as to the size of the case. What it refers to is a more sensuous, historically inspired case profile, in contrast to the Tunican or Betterini case profile that launched with Panerai as a civilian mark in 1993. The 1950 case profile, again more sophisticated and more closely tied to its history, is a post-2002 innovation that's now pervaded the entire model line. Now 47mm across the broad of the case, that's from 9 to 3, but it does not include the enormous crescent-shaped crown guard and crown assembly. The watch is reasonably slim. At 16mm, it might sound chunky, but in fact the slope of the bezel and the dramatic dome of the sapphire, which is designed to evoke a vintage acrylic as you can see, allow a dress cuff or a tight sleeve to ride up and over fairly easily. This is not one for the tightest of formal sleeves, but nor is it going to provide an impediment to most formal cuffs and sport jacket or blazer sleeves. This one should be viable with most formal attire and long sleeves. From lug to lug, it's broad, 56mm, but it doesn't wear as such. My wrist, again 16 centimeters in circumference, wears this one easily, and you can see that the strap pretty much pulls straight down. So rather than looming out over the edge of the wrist, you can see how the particular contour of those short and close cropped lugs actually allows the watch to sort of curve around your wrist. So if you're borderline to wear it in terms of size, the shape of the watch and the shape of the lugs will be your saving grace. I'd say you could wear this watch securely and with proportion down to a wrist size of 15 centimeters in circumference. You'll also note that the strap is incredibly massive. Now you can see it's folded in profile, so it doubles up on itself. It also features a handsome inset vintage Panerai logo. That's one of those historic elements that I talk about being clustered throughout the watch. Now this particular logo endured from the late 70s through the early 1990s, so that's our first historic element. The second, which I already mentioned, is the 1950 case profile, something that came to pass approximately at the dawn of the 1950s as Panerai was redesigning its watches and preparing to take over production from Rolex. Other elements include the design of the dial, which is probably the most remote throwback to antiquity. The earliest Panerai 3646 watches, today we would call that case design the radiomir, featured what's known as the California dial, and that because these watches, again, in the beginning were built by Rolex, and the California dial was characteristic of Rolex dial design at the time. It's essentially distinguished by the combination of Arabic numerals on the bottom and Romans on the top. Now this watch features a few other historical and modern elements. Of course, the railroad track outboard allowing you to more accurately read the minutes, and when I talk about modern elements, I'm talking about things like the crown guard, the 1950 case that came long after those 1936 prototypes. Of course, modern luxury watch engineering and fit, finish, and specification are a big part of this watch, so those are the contemporary elements. At no point in Panerai history would we have a titanium DLC-coated case during the military years, nor would we ever see the combination of the crown guard with the hybrid Roman and Arabic California dial. And of course this logo, as I mentioned, is a relic principally of the 1980s. So what this watch is essentially an anthology, an extended homage to Panerai's history throughout its entire span from the first combat watches of 1936 to the present day. And it pulls off that effect beautifully. Rather than looking like a pastiche of different themes and cues, it's incredibly coherent, handsome, and again, it doesn't reference anything specific in particular so much as it celebrates the entire length and breadth of Panerai's production. Now, of course, solid caseback with the logo, matching the logo on the strap. This is a caliber 3000 manual wind. It features 2 mainspring barrels, a 72-hour power reserve, and it features a nifty quick set system for the hour hand. If you are jumping time zones without actually stopping the balance, you can set the hour hand forward or back, rapidly changing your time zone as you travel. Of course, with the 3-day power reserve, this is a good watch to wear in a rotation of other watches. So while the look might be striking and maybe even a bit particular, perhaps not suited for all occasions, it won't run down while you're cycling through your more formal or perhaps even more aggressive sporting styles. Now, of course, the watch does feature an easily adjusted trapezoidal pin buckle. It also features screwed lugs such that you can easily swap the straps at home. If you're into strap swapping, that's a highlight of Panerai ownership. You'll note just how easy that is looking at the screws in the flanks. Also note the detailing, the printing of 1950 within the locking lever of the crown guard, as well as the presence of an actual runner bearing, which you may not be able to see in the light of the light box, but there's actually a bearing that smooths the interface between the crown guard, cam, and the crown itself. An incredibly handsome watch, a tribute to Panerai history, and totally singular in its aesthetic. You can see this Panerai Luminor 1950 3 days titanium DLC, one of 300 made, and purchase it on our website.